Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Two Sides of the Same Coin, our podcast. I'm Thurl.
This is Roy.
Okay, and again, welcome. We're excited to bring a special guest with us today on the show today, who comes with a plethora of titles. We're looking forward to having a very exciting conversation with her. She's got a lot to bring to the table. But we also are here with a very special friend who's also a part of the show, and we want to give a moment to our special friend Luana, who is here with us today, a little bit with a heavy heart. Um, you want to share with us, Luana, a little bit about what your journey has been as of late?
Well, as of late, I recently lost my estranged husband. He became a victim of a homicide at the beginning of September. So we're still dealing with that. I just want to give a lot of love to his children because they are dealing with a heavy heart. It's a lot going on, and it's a investigation. His whomever did what they did unalive, they have not yet been apprehended yet. What they
Okay.
call. So
Understood.
so we're just taking it day by day. And again, I just a lot of love out to his children, a lot of love
Okay.
and light out to his children.
Thank you. You are in our prayers.
Yeah.
And everybody
We
watching the
grieve
show
with you.
knows you're
You're in our
happy
prayers.
there. Yeah, and it's great
Okay.
to hear that you've had so much support.
Mhm.
Roy.
Right now, we're going to introduce Miss Tephanie Delaney, a very accomplished woman. We're so happy to have her with us. We reached out to her, and we're glad that she accommodated us, and we're excited to hear so much from her. And she has so much to share with us. She just recently came back from Los Angeles, where she was part of the staff organization for Miss Black California USA. She just recently lost an amazing magazine called Cultural Care to great success at this point. She's also the co-founder at Twin Cities Hair and Expo. She's also chief visionary officer at Wild Eye Visionary, which is a consulting firm media group slash that basically works with celebrity branding. And so that's what we want to get into with her because we feel that she's so vital to what we all need in terms of us trying to be successful in our businesses. Branding matters, and so she's going to touch on that with us. And so we're again very excited to have Miss Stephanie Delaney.
Thank you.
All right,
Welcome, Stephanie.
welcome,
Thank
welcome,
you.
welcome.
Let's jump into it, Roy. Tell us about the launch of this magazine. We want to jump right into that because first of all, let me say that magazines are kind of like it's a different world. Is it an online magazine? Is it a paper magazine that tell us first of all what what in terms of what format is it coming in?
It is an online digital magazine right
Okay.
now.
Mhm.
Print could be ordered by on demand, but for the most part, my intentions was for it to be a digital platform because
Okay.
I'm into technology and I feel
Mhm.
like, everything should be digital, in this stage.
Right.
But
Mhm.
people do have the ability to order print copies if they choose.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So
So
when you say cultural care, give us an explanation of what that means.
It means
What you are?
empowering the culture with care.
Mm, okay.
And the care is with a K intentionally.
okay.
Because the letter K stands on two legs and it stands firmly.
Okay.
So that is the reason why I chose the K because I want this magazine to be a representation of people who are moving the culture forward, who are
Mhm.
standing firm in moving the culture forward. So that's why I chose the letter K versus the letter C because C could rock backwards.
Okay.
Okay.
I like
Okay.
that. I
Hmm.
like that. That's original. Stand on them 2K legs, right?
That's right.
Is it in a format where there are subscribers, or how do we get this magazine?
So it will be a subscription format.
Yeah.
This is what I tell my clients all the time though. This is what I call an imperfect launch. It's something
Mm.
that I have been aspiring to do since 2018.
Mhm.
And there's no such thing as it being absolutely perfect. So it's an imperfect launch. So no, we do not have our subscription model up yet. However, we will have probably within the next week where people can join the email list and they'll know be notified when new publications. But like I said, it's something that I've been working on since 2018. This magazine is actually a dedication to my late sister's legacy.
Mm.
Her brand was Euphoric Beauty,
Mhm.
and I wanted to honor her brand without jacking her name, letting her legacy live on through her in the spirit world. So I wanted to do something to honor her. So in 2018, I started going to the drawing board during my morning, and I came up with the fact that I was going to launch a magazine, but it changed its name and form a couple of times.
Mhm.
And then when it came to me, cultural care, I felt like it was a message directly from her.
Mm. Okay. Wonderful.
Now, was this your little younger sister?
Yes. She was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Oh no.
sorry to
So
hear that.
She was on her
sorry.
bike.
Oh no. Oh my.
And her
Goodness.
brand was Euphoric Beauty, and she stood for all things beautiful. All
Okay.
things beautiful. So
Mhm.
the design and everything about the magazine is
It's all
just
about
it's a
how
dedication.
she
Yep.
would have envisioned it to be, or how she started it.
Well, she
before
didn't
passed.
have a magazine. She had a beauty supply store.
Okay.
But her brand itself.
Was it up here? in
No, it
Minnesota?
was in Edwardsville, Illinois. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
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 So her beauty supply was in Edwardsville, Illinois, but Euphoric Beauty was truly what she stood for internally, as well as on the outside. So it was not, it just came to me during my time of grieving that I wanted to launch something in honor or in dedication. And at first I said, well, is it a podcast? And I was like, no, it's not. Is it a book? No, it's not. I couldn't get what it was. And then literally one day I woke up and I woke up with the vision. I'm like, it's a magazine. It's a magazine. And then it was a magazine with a heavier connotation at first. And I'm like, that's how I feel. So I had to be really mindful of those are my feelings, but that's not a representation of her. So I didn't want to name it from a dark place, because darkness was not what she represented. So I removed the dark name, which was shattered into purpose, which was a positive connotation behind it, but
right.
it was heavy.
Yes.
It was heavy, but that was the reality. That's how I felt at that moment. I felt shattered,
Right.
and it started pushing me more towards my purpose. Because if I learned nothing else from us losing her, her untimely death, is I learned that life was very short,
Yes.
and
And it
every gift that you have, you better use them.
Right.
You better use them.
You got to make it count.
Got to make it count.
You know, Stephanie, you and I met through a mutual friend.
We did.
We went to the Janet Jackson concert.
Yeah.
Which concert? Which one? What
Janet
year?
Jackson. This past.
Oh, the recent one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
recently. And what drew me to her, we was having like brief conversations. You telling me that you had started off in the real estate business, and then you switched off into branding for celebrities. And
Well, I didn't switch. So I'm
You
still
didn't
in
switch?
real estate.
you still okay?
I just don't practice.
You
I
don't practice.
I don't practice.
Okay, but
unless I'm
unless
presented a
you have to.
opportunity, I
Great
can't
deal.
refuse.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, what made you decide that that's what you want to do in terms of being a branding? Not so much for celebrities, just for Black businesses and the individuals.
Well, it didn't start there. This journey of mine started probably in 1996,
Okay.
96 or 97. So I've always been about empowering others,
Okay.
and helping others develop their visions, right? But at the time, I don't know how old I was, but I know I was younger than 21.
Mm.
And I didn't realize it was a gift. You know, I just knew I had great ideas, as
Right.
people would call them.
Right.
Yeah.
And people would always tap on me for their ideas, and I would just blah, 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 blah. And so in 1997, I was the co-chairperson. I believe I was 20 years old at the time. I'm aging myself. But anyway, I was the co-chair for the state of Missouri for the Million Woman March as we were heading to Philadelphia. So keep in mind, I'm
Okay.
20.
Okay.
And I co-chaired bringing the women from the state of Missouri to
Mhm.
Philadelphia. At that time, a journalist for the St. Louis American newspaper wrote an article about the march, and then he mentioned about me, and he said, "This wild-eyed visionary
Mhm.
is a force to be reckoned with. I'm going to keep an eye on her career to see, where it leads." I didn't embrace it. I was 20. I'm like, he's trying to be funny. Like, what's that?
Mhm.
Um, but he saw something in me that I was too young to see for myself, and that was the fact that my wild-eyed visions are my gift.
Mm.
Oh,
And
wow. Nice.
so I've been doing this for a long time. Now, I didn't decide to make a business of it
Mhm.
until around 2007.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
If you have anybody in the industry that you look up to, is there someone that kind of
Absolutely.
inspired you?
Absolutely. There's two people.
Okay.
There's two people that I feel are the king and queen of branding, and people
Mm.
don't think of them in that context, though, right?
Mhm.
Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler
I can
Perry.
agree.
Okay.
Tyler Perry.
Well, those rolled
Mhm.
right off the top of the list,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can
right
agree.
away. So
Yeah.
Well, I got to ask you this: do you think branding is, it's vital to your success, right?
Absolutely.
Do you think though it's the talent that allows the branding to be successful, or is it the branding that enhances the talent? You take Tyler Perry, who's great writer, filmmaker, storyteller. He's had a lot of success based on started with his plays, of course, that led into film, and he's obviously continued to expand his brand, and now he's pretty much running Atlanta with his studios and stuff. So how big of a part of it do you think started with the branding, or how much was it a result first of his talent being on display?
It started with the branding.
Really?
really,
That's important to know.
Because Tyler Perry knew he was
Mhm.
talented,
Okay.
but how many people are very talented and unknown?
A lot.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So from the start, and he actually did an interview with Kevin Hart,
Mhm.
where when he was doing his play, I don't know if it was his first play, but it was in the very,
Mhm.
very beginning when he was doing Medea, and his name wasn't on the marquee. And he told them, "My name need to be on the marquee." And they said, "Well, no, we got Tom Jones playing." He said, "My name need to be on the marquee." Yeah,
Right.
but we're playing at this theater and our name's not on the marquee.
Mhm.
And they gave him some pushback, right? But he said, "No, no, no. I need people to know." But he knew, and he explained in there, "I'm building a brand.
Right.
I'm building a brand. We can't play at this theater and our name's not on the marquee." Like so he's intentionally
Mhm.
started out. And even though branding wasn't a big popular word at that
Right.
time,
Right.
he knew he was building something. So
Mhm.
where that all would end up, now we see. But in the very beginning, what you're not going to do is have us on this stage, and I'm not even worthy to be on that marquee. I don't care about Tom Jones. I'm just
Mhm.
as big as he is.
Right.
Maybe not right now, but I
Mhm.
will be.
Mhm.
So he set out with that intention
Mhm.
of, I'm building something bigger.
Right.
And that's all branding is really about,
Mhm.
is what are you building? How big is your brand that you're building, right? Doesn't matter where you're at right now. Oprah started off knowing she was building something bigger. Even when we were watching her every day on the Oprah Winfrey show. She knew she was building a legacy. She was building something bigger. So she didn't hide behind the shadows of the network. She didn't hide behind the shadows of the producers.
Mhm.
She was always Oprah Winfrey. She was
Mhm.
always Oprah.
That
The
brand, that
Oprah
was that
Winfrey
brand, right.
show.
Mhm.
And that brand
Right.
is what carried her on.
Mhm.
Because too many times you find people who are highly talented, we know their face, we have no idea what the name. We can name every role they play, but we don't know their name. So how are they really building their brand when you don't even know who they are? But you can tell them, "Oh, you play such and such and such and
Right.
such and
I
this
can't.
and this and that,"
Mhm.
but I don't know your name. Or
Right.
you sung this song or that song. I know your face, but I don't know your name.
Mhm.
Well, your name is the heart and soul of your brand. So
Mhm.
that's why I admire the way they did it, is because they knew from the beginning,
Mhm.
I'm not building up your network.
Mhm.
I'm building up my brand.
Right. Tiffany, differentiate for us, if you will, someone that works with branding versus a publicist.
Or
What's
is
the
it the same
difference?
thing?
Well, so I work a little bit two sides of every
Okay.
same coin.
Okay. All right.
So I work, I do them both,
Okay.
but they are two different roles. They are quite similar.
Mhm.
But a publicist focuses more on the media aspect of the brand, right? So it's what gets your brand known in a bigger sense in the media, in the world of press. That's your publicist hat.
Mhm.
The brand itself, cultivating the brand. In order to act as a publicist, I got to have something for the
Right,
media to
right.
want to
That's right.
publicize.
Right.
Right.
Do
Exactly.
you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's where the
Right.
branding comes
Right.
in. So I have to make you something. We
Mhm.
have to cultivate what the media is even going to tell the story on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You see? So
Mhm.
that's where they work hand in hand,
Mhm.
but they're essentially very different. So we do a lot behind the scenes. Like I said, with that magazine, for example, that was something that was in the making since 2018.
Mhm.
So now, and a story actually dropped about it last night. Now it's a story,
Mhm.
Right.
but the building of that
Right.
brand has
Mhm.
been going all along. So with a lot of my clients, we work a long time before the media is just constantly running the story.
Mhm.
It's not an overnight process.
Correct.
Can I ask you? Well, no. I'm gonna ask you a question. Did you find it more difficult to work with celebrities that are already known versus those that are just coming out? It's about the same.
Nope. I'll tell you what I find more difficult, and I'm going to apologize in advance for this statement. It is 110% easier to work with celebrities than it is to work with everyday entrepreneurs, which I refer to them as celeb likes.
Mm.
Those are the people that you're in the process of building the brand,
Okay.
right? And the reason why,
I was just about to ask that. What is why did you say that? Okay.
yeah, the reason why is it because a celebrity is already a believer in their brand,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
I served as business and brand development for corporations, organizations, and entrepreneurs, business owners regularly before I moved into a celebrity clientele. You're spending a lot of time cultivating their belief system than you are building the brand. I'm trying to make you see you the way I
Yeah,
see
make
you.
them a believer in themselves or a believer in their brand.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's
working with you because I
brilliant.
believe in you.
Mhm.
But I can have a vision for you, but if you don't share that vision for yourself, or more importantly, if you don't have clarity of what you want to do with it,
Mhm.
if you're all over the board, then it's a lot harder because you got to get that one thing. You got to kind of focus on that one thing, even if that one thing is you, right?
Mhm.
And everything that you do is a product of you.
Mhm.
But you have to find that one thing, and that's what you blow up.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so when you're working with celebrities, they've already kind of found that one thing, and that one thing is them.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
where their belief system lie. Now, not all the time, because they're human too. So they have their own insecurities, but the main thing that they have is, I believe I can. Now, what that can looks like, that's where I need your help.
Okay.
Because what can I do with this? I can, but I know I can.
Right.
Okay.
I just need help.
Okay, but I want to follow up on that a little bit. Saying that, with that being said, and you're working with somebody who's already established, uh, does that get in the way sometimes of what you're trying to do, or what you're trying to help, or to add something or bring something? Does that get in the way? I mean, because part of that, what you're saying, also instigate that there's some level of an ego there, and you're also dealing with that fact. They've got fans. They've got an history of some success. Sometimes, in that industry, it's up and down. You're only as big as your last type of situation. And when you come into their lives from that place, you're trying to, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we should do. Do you get a lot of pushback from that person.
No,
I've been doing it this way for this long.
Yeah.
no. And I'm gonna tell you why. I feel that you are what you attract. Okay.
Mm.
So my clients, I don't operate in ego. And I've been very fortunate to meet clients that they don't operate in ego. So we know that we can help each other in that sense, you know. And there have been some clients that I've had to fire because, you know, they may have been too egotistical for me. And that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you got it all together, then why am I sitting here?
Right. Right.
What you hire me for?
Right.
Do you see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So even though they've been doing it a long time, but because their goal is to take things higher, rich brands richer. And if they hired me to help them bring out, you know, dimensions to this, then they're open. And most of the time, a lot of my clients come by referrals. So they've already vetted me. You guys are in the industry, so you understand we vet everybody. Before they invite me to their home, they know where my home is. So they've already done their vetting. They've already they know they've already made the decision that they want to do business with me. Now let's sit down and establish what that looks like and in what capacity.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to get
go
into
ahead.
something that's, you know, two artists. I know, you know, you don't work with those artists, I don't believe, but you know, they're both artists that have really, you know, rappers. They've evolved and they've become their own brand. One is kind of took a different path lately, but the other one is just, this guy is just killing it. And you talked about it, him once. I heard you mention him, Snoop Dogg.
Snoop,
Killing it.
I watch.
Snoop
And
Dogg.
so with Snoop, you know, he is just killing it, because you think of where he came from, and you know, so he had some pitfalls, you know, when he left Death Row, and then he got with Master P and them, but he is just killing it with his brand, and he's everywhere. He's doing everything. And do you think someone got with him and said, "This is what we've got to do to get you to this level," or did he start to realize that within his own mindset?
Well, I
Because
think
he's
it's
just
a little bit of both.
a little bit of
It's a
both.
little bit of both. So again, it goes back to what I said when I said the one thing that a celebrity know for sure is I can.
Right.
I
Right.
can and I will. And not necessarily that I will, but I can and I'm willing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times all they need is that person to show them what they are willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're willing to do it, they do it and they do it well, because they already know that anything I put my mind to is gold.
Okay.
Anything I touch is gold.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't turn it into gold, I ain't touching it.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't feel like, and I think the same way. If
Mhm.
I don't feel like I can make this work, I will walk away from it gracefully and give you my blessings and still,
Mm-hmm.
you know, help try to inspire you along the way. So Snoop knew he can do whatever he set his mind to. He knew he was bigger than hip hop, just rapping. You know what I mean? He knew he was bigger than the street life. He knew he was bigger than all of that. And he knew that anything he put his brand, attach his brand to, is golden, right? So with that belief system, that's all that propelled him forward. So then he gets with, you know, his whomever his agent is. He'll get with his agent. They'll present him with opportunities, and then he kind of maybe fill it out and say if it makes sense to him or not. But I can guarantee you that he's probably presented with way more opportunities than what we see, right? But some stuff he might just be like, I could work with that. Like that, hey, that's a good look. That I'll have fun with that. Because again, creativity is nothing but having fun with your intelligence. So I can actually kick it with that right there. Yeah, come on, Martha, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on, give me my cereal. Give me my, you know, and that's it. He just believed that he can. And same with Shaq.
Right. Yeah.
Same with Shaq. Like,
About 50 Cent.
A little
Yeah.
different.
A little different.
little different.
Oh,
You
wait,
froze
we
her.
got to pause here. What's
Yeah,
going
pause
on?
right there.
We got to
Why
pause.
did I just ask you?
No,
no, let's
no,
hear it.
I
No.
think 50 is amazing.
Yeah.
I think 50 is
Okay.
amazing. I don't know enough about his the things that he's doing to make any comment on. But I
Mhm.
do know 50 is doing the dang on thing.
Mhm.
I just don't
I'm talking about in terms of his shows.
Yeah, 50 is doing his thing. But again,
Mhm.
I don't know much about. I would be hypocritical if I sat here and
Right,
talked
'cause you
more
don't know.
about 50's
Right.
brand
Understand.
because
Mhm.
I can't even tell you everything. I know he got a
Mhm.
champagne. I know he's got power. You know, I know
Mhm.
he's got some stuff going on, but I don't know a lot of the
Mhm.
ins and outs of that.
There was
Well,
another
the other
rapper you
artist
was
I
going to
wanted
say.
to
Yeah.
mention
Who's that?
is Easy. Yeah, Easy. Uh, he had his, his brand. He was on top of the world, billionaire. According to
Really?
yes,
Who? So sorry.
Kanye
Kanye.
West.
Oh,
Now
I'm so
Yeezy.
sorry. I said you said easy. I'm like,
Yeezy. No.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
easy.
But he had a fall, of course, with Adidas. I don't want to call it a fall, but that relationship was fractured, and
Well,
so
Russ, I want to say it's more like a trouble with his brand.
no, that's what I want to
Yeah.
bring up about. Do you think because he's so big now that his brand and who he is now is survivable despite trying to get canceled? Because they
Absolutely.
tried
I
to cancel him.
mean, I feel like everything when you get to a certain level,
Mhm.
everything's strategy. So
Mm.
there's strategies to everything.
So you think there was a strategy to what he said at that time when he did what he
No,
did?
but I can guarantee you they probably came up with a strategy right afterwards. I don't
How to
know if
deal
it
with it.
was a strategy or not, but I know he's too big of a brand
Mhm.
to allow that to even rock the boat.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Because he
So
can still move numbers.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you are because again, he believes he can.
Right.
That's
does.
all you need
does.
is that belief system. Think about it like this. Steve Harvey has went broke. Do you see what I'm saying? Completely broke on
Mhm.
multiple occasions.
Mm.
But what did not waver was the belief
That he had
Yeah, he can
in
get
himself.
it back.
himself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter about a fall because probably everybody in the industry has had their falls. I've had mine a
Mhm.
couple of times,
All right.
you know. So it's a matter of just because you may fall off according to whomever or
Mhm.
according to your bank account or whatever the case
Mhm.
may be, as long as you don't fall in here,
Right. Self belief.
Okay, I got to
good.
follow up because there's some really major celebrities, and there's been movements out here that's affected them on a lot of levels, from the media, from I'm talking about major executives, uh, and so on and so forth. And what we read uh, is what happens when their agencies, publicists, and everybody
Start
drop
dropping
them.
them.
Uh,
You take
I'll
Russell
name
Brand.
that
Russell
word right out of
Brand.
my mouth. A guy who was on top of the world. We were watching him. He got very political with some of his movements.
Who did you say?
Russell
Russell
Brand.
Brand.
Oh, okay.
He became very political with some of the things that he was saying. We follow him on. We don't follow him. We follow certain shows, and he was appearing on these shows, and things were heightened up with him with his move. But he wasn't acting. He wasn't being Russell Brand or the comedian or whatnot. And then something happened where it just went too far on some level. Media controls a lot of things that happens, and sometimes they can actually pick who they want to
Write
bring
an
these stories to,
article
or
on
start
you.
so then what happens then is damage control. But what I see is abandonment at certain levels with some of these artists. Almost it sounds like abandonment, what I'm saying.
I was about to say, I wouldn't necessarily say it's abandonment because there may be a lot of warnings that were given along the way. So I have some clients that, we have to reel them in. We have to reel them in, not trying to censor anyone. We don't want to ever censor your voice, but you also have to keep your brand in perspective. So with a lot of your
Like, is this
personal,
good for your brand?
right?
Well,
With a lot
what
of
you're
your
saying is it
personal
good for the
political
brand as a publicist or an agency? Because agencies are saying, do we want to represent that client?
Well, again, because here's the thing: if the client, again, we got to reel you in. If you won't allow us to reel you in, how well can I do my job?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? If you go off being a loose cannon every time a camera is on you, then you make it harder for us because we're spending more time on damage control
Right.
versus brand building.
Mhm.
Nice.
So there's conversations that may happen behind closed doors where it's like, not trying to censor you in any way. Keep in mind the platform.
Mhm.
Always keep in mind the medium, right? Social media is a medium. It's an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So be mindful when you're on your social media. Don't let don't let someone hit your trigger and you go
Mhm.
off. So these conversations happen. So by the time, an agency cut ties with them, it's probably gone too far, but you best to believe there was probably some conversations that happened before that was just like, listen, those your views amazing. I 100% agree with them. On the flip side,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
there's a place and a time and a space for it all. And you
Mhm.
can't go on mainstream media, expressing a lot of that unless that's what you want to do with your brand.
Mhm.
So if that's the direction that you're going, you want to be controversial, you want to be a politician, you want to be a pastor,
Trump like.
you want to be, whatever,
Trump.
gaslighter, whatever you want to be. And you're basically saying, forget everything else I built up. This is where I'm at. This is a season of life that I'm in. That's
Mhm.
okay, because that's where you're putting yourself, right? But if
Mhm.
you still want to sing pop, but yet you want to get out and say, this, that, then you know that you're running the risk of being canceled. And if we have those conversations and you go against how I advise you, then again, how can I serve you? Because I can't spend all my time cleaning up
Right.
Your
your
Mhm.
mess.
because
Mhm.
what is your take like on cancel culture? Because I mean, you will get canceled for anything now. Like you literally get canceled. Your career is like in the toilet, and you've been doing this for like 20, 30 years, and you say one thing,
Overnight almost.
Yeah.
one thing on the media, and then they just like, we want
And is that
once you're
making the
gone. What
job
is your
tough
take?
for?
What is your take on
Yeah.
that?
Well, again, you need to be controlled, right? You need to
I-
be in a controlled state of mind to where if this is what you're doing and you know it's a risk of you getting canceled, you're prepared for that.
Mhm.
So, meaning you're ready to retire, or you're financially prepared, or this is the road you want to take, because there is an audience for everything, right? So, if this is the road, say if you want to go militant, right? There's an audience for that. And if that's what you want to do, that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. Just understand that you can't play both sides of the fence. So you got to pick and choose.
Mhm.
But when you're uncontrolled, when you're an uncontrolled narrative, and that's what I
Mhm.
tell people all the time, like, you control your narrative. When
Right.
you're an uncontrolled narrative, then your reflection
Yes,
of what some would consider bad business,
right.
bad
Mm.
branding, you're all over the board. If you
Mhm.
confuse your audience, you're going to lose your audience.
Mhm.
So we need to know what we're rooting
Mhm.
for. If I'm a fan of yours, I'm a Snoop fan. That's why I can tell
Mhm.
you, I love me Snoop. I could probably recite every song word by word, right? Now, if Snoop came and did a song that didn't quite fit his brand, but yet it still was a dope song, I still might like it because it's a dope song. But if Snoop came and did a song total opposite of everything that he's ever represented, the total opposite, you might be like, all right, Snoop then went left. You know what I'm saying? He done went left. And then if his next song come out like that, you like, all right, well, I'm good. You confuse your audience, you lose your audience. So you have to make sure that you're in control of the narrative and in control of your state of mind. If
Mhm.
someone's trying to push your buttons or trigger you, you can't
Mhm.
allow that to happen. You got to
So-
think about what's at the forefront here.
So, as part of branding, continuity of what you think your audience is expecting
Absolutely, because you built that audience. How?
through giving them what they're expecting.
Not giving them what they're expecting by being you. People buy from people. We're emotional, and we with the people that resonate with us. That's who we gravitate to, right?
Mhm.
So, if you're being anything other than who you truly are, you can only keep up that narrative for so long,
Right.
Because the real you gonna come out.
because the
Because
real
you're
you
not,
gonna come
yeah,
out.
because you're not being genuine, right?
So if you build it up and you're building it up on a fake foundation, then eventually it's going to crumble.
Right.
But if you're building it up on your truth,
Mhm.
you're solid. That's concrete.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So anything that you do is going to be a representation of you. There's so many different representations of us, but it's still going to represent the
Mhm.
core of who you are,
Right.
right? If you are a good heart,
Mhm.
if you are a giver, like
Mhm.
again, Oprah, Tyler.
Mhm.
So things that they do is still a representation of who they are at the core. But if you build up something fake,
Mhm.
It's gonna come out.
it's gonna
Right.
crumble
Do
eventually.
you
Yeah,
think
people-
that
people
happened
wanna-
with Ellen? I'm throwing names out there now. She had this reputation of being this carefree, fun comedian who did a really great show, the
I love
dancing
Ellen.
and all that. People loved her show. It was amazing. And then almost like overnight, an article came out and it, kind of cascaded into this light of just this terrible, mean, back, behind the scenes. I don't have to spend a
Yeah.
lot of time on that part, but and then overnight, this person who everybody loved was,
vilified.
vilified. Yeah.
And everybody
sure.
will still love her.
Mhm.
Trust me, when Ellen ready to bounce back, Ellen will bounce back.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a matter of
believe that too.
sometimes you could take a pause
Mhm.
and you could reevaluate, or you could just take a break or whatever. She might be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I needed that break."
Mhm.
But when she wants to bounce back, she can bounce back, because what I believe is, well, what I know to be true, not about Ellen.
Mhm.
But what I know to be true is, I know there are people that will intentionally set out to harm your brand. There are people
Mm.
that are paid to do that. There are
Mm.
people who get fired and they have a chip on their shoulder. Things happen,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
There are people who have attacked me, and I
Mhm.
know for a fact I ain't did nothing but good to them.
Right. Raise your hand.
You see what I'm saying? So if it
We done
happens to
been there.
us,
I done
if
been
it
up.
happens
We done,
to
we
everyday
know.
Been there.
people
We
like
know.
Been
I'm
us,
there.
like, huh?
Been there.
imagine how
there.
often that's happening to celebrities, where people
Mhm.
will
Yeah.
straight up lie
You're
on you. You be
targeted.
like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Right. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
where did that come from?
That's not me.
That's not me. And I tell people all the time, if that's how you experienced me,
Mhm.
then I can apologize and let you know that was never my intention.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I've heard things about myself, rumors about myself, where I sit back and I be like, let me get some popcorn.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
again, so imagine if
Yeah.
if it can happen to just everyday plain folks like
Mhm.
us, you can
Mhm.
almost imagine how often
Right.
that happens to
Mhm.
celebrities. So at the end of the day, um, everything that's said and read
Mhm.
ain't necessarily
Yeah.
fact.
Lizzo's one more artist.
Oh,
Lizzo.
Lizzo, yeah.
Big story
For
that's
sure.
going on. What she's battling. Very giving, amazing artist, creative spirit, and there's a movement with a couple of artists or dancers or what have you, and she's really in a fight for her brand. And sometimes you want to root for them and hope that they come out on top. But at the same time, there's another push that's trying to deal with that. So
Mhm.
But
if you're
Lizzo got money.
right,
So I'm gonna tell
Mhm.
you, Lizzo got one heck of a publicist. And when they ready to spend that thing,
They're gonna do it.
okay,
she'll be
No,
all right.
I-
That's why I said Ellen will be all right.
Yeah.
Because if you got Kanye, he'll be all right.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
you got that right publicist
Mhm.
when it's time to make a spin move.
Mhm.
So trust me, a lot of times when you see them lay low,
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
at the advice of someone in
right.
their camp. It's just like, man,
Let
just
it
fall
blow
back
over.
right
Let it
now.
blow over.
Let
I
this
got to
blow over.
talk about, we've got to obviously touch on social media and how it's obviously a fixture in our culture now in terms of how it can define a person elevating themselves to a level of fame. You take Charleston White, right? Charleston White.
I'm familiar.
He's sort of a shock type guy out of Dallas, and he says a lot of controversial, matter of fact type things, and he's been able to elevate his career. Now he's
building a
shows,
brand,
he's
doing
building
what he's
shows,
doing.
he's building his own brand.
Right.
And how big a part do you think now with social media being such a fabric now of how people become famous?
Well,
How big a part? Yeah, does that play?
I tell my clients all the time, in the world of PR, you got media in your hands at all times.
Okay.
You have the biggest, probably the widest audience of any outlet. I don't care. It's probably bigger than the Super Bowl audience. You see what I'm saying? You have pretty much the world in the palm of your hands. Now, what you decide to do with it is completely up to you. What I would encourage everyone, because like with him, he may be controversial. That may just be who he is. As long as you keep it real and you keep it authentic to your story, you'll be okay. Because the one thing about a lie is you got to remember the details of a lie. You don't have to remember the details of your story.
I've
Mm.
watched him several times, and I think he is who he say he is.
Period.
Just
Yeah,
controversial.
But again, that's what's elevating his brand, right?
Because I was sitting back
He's
like,
being
what
that
is going
person.
on here? Like, you know how you start watching somebody, and I'm like, wait a minute. Then you get to seeing them. I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. Like, he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he's so controversial. But
Well,
he's
because
himself.
guess what? Something about his brand is resonating with his audience,
It is.
right?
Is someone branding him? Is he working with someone, or this is all on
I
his
have
own? You
no
don't know.
idea,
Okay.
but there's something about his brand. As long as you keeping it real, true to yourself, you're going to attract. You're even
you are.
even naysayers,
Yeah.
people that don't like you,
They're gonna watch.
they still gonna watch. You know, so social media is your biggest form of media. But again, as long as you're doing it with purpose,
Mhm.
don't just get on social media. Well, you can. I mean, it's your social media. But if you're brand building, don't get on social media with absolutely no agenda. Like, I'm just on here brushing my teeth because I'm about to go to work. You know, unless you're selling some toothpaste or a toothbrush line, make it make sense. So every time he probably logs onto his social media, somehow whatever he goes on there about is attached to what he's building his brand on.
Okay.
So whether he drop a picture, it's probably something in the context of that based on what he's building his brand on. You know, he can't say that I'm a vegan and I don't believe in unfair treatment for animals, and then he's on social media kicking the puppy. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
That's
it's
so true.
as long as it's consistent
Mhm.
to what it is that you're branding, then you're gonna find your audience will find you. You don't have to go looking for your audience; they'll find you. They will find you.
You know, I want to kind of double back on something you said earlier in our conversation. You were saying when we was asking about the difference in representing celebrity, helping celebrities with their branding versus like small businesses.
Mhm.
And you said it's more easier to help celebrities.
Mhm.
Now, when we go back, let's go back to the small businesses. Why do you feel like it's a little bit more difficult to help people that's trying to, you know, build their brand up, or this in small businesses, whether they're trying to get out there, or podcasters, or whomever it may be? Why do you think it's a little bit more difficult to help them? Why are there so? I know you said the celebrities know that they can. Why is it so hard for like regular John or Mary to follow your lead or listen to your advice?
Well, let me say this. So the entrepreneurs and small businesses and creatives is my heartstrings. Okay. That's always going to be the core and the center. And I help so many for absolutely not a dime. Because that's the center of who I am, right? Um, I desire to empower others. So let me just say that. But the difference is if you walked a mile before, do you feel like you could walk that mile again?
Of course.
That's the difference. So if you have never done it before, then it's really cultivating more time into your belief
Right.
of knowing that you can do it.
True.
And so where I did create a form of separation, because I did not desire to be a life coach. Okay. But I can do that very well. I can motivate. People tell me all the time, Tef, when I leave you, I just like, you know, you will leave me and you pumped. You absolutely pumped. You feel like you can move mountains because you can. But I never really wanted to be a life coach or a motivational speaker, although that's a fabric. That's a part of the fabric that creates me. On the flip side, I like to use my creativity a lot more. So what's the best spend of my time is where I had to start drawing lines and boundaries for myself, right?
Mhm.
What's a good spend of my time, or what is the best spend of my time? Me trying to make you believe you can do it, or me working with someone who know they can do it. And all I have to do is give them some great ideas of some things they can do and help
Mhm.
cultivate and nurture those things.
Mhm.
So
Well said.
so when you
Well
talk
said,
about
yeah.
some, and this is not all of them, because some people, they know they can, they will, and they'll do it again and again. But with a lot of startups and stuff like that, that they're walking on uncharted waters.
Mhm.
So unless they're starting from an empowered space, because some of them will start from an empowered space and they got it. But if they're starting from a space of doubt, then you're going to spend more time trying to remove that doubt and making them believe in themselves, or trying to help them believe in themselves. And years I've spent years working with people that I believed in them more than they believed in themselves.
Mhm.
And eventually I had to make a decision of how I'm spending my time.
Mhm.
I want to share something else and run. And of course, we've been in the industry a little bit too for a while. And I'll never forget, we were producing a show with Live Nation
Mhm,
uh, locally here called Star Party.
mhm,
And obviously, it was through a radio station, a local radio station here. And that radio station was on the air because of, at the time, the large brand. It wasn't iHeart, it was Clear Channel.
mhm,
And we were we had artists that were going to perform on that show, and so we were doing the first 20 minutes of that show, producing that, and then some much more famous artists, national artists, were going to come on. And I met with, I don't know if he was the president of Clear Channel, but he was a pretty big wig there, executive there, and we were just starting out with this particular brand that we were working with, which was the company. And he talked about the importance of brand association.
mhm,
We were just the little guys on the block, and they're Clear Channel. And I'll never forget what he said that day, Tiffany. He said, "You want to associate your brand with a brand that's going to compliment you, obviously well established, and partner." He basically said partner with.
mhm.
He didn't say associate. He said partner with. Obviously, it was an invitation to us to continue to work with him,
Yeah.
and we ended up doing that over the years quite a bit, to great success. But what about, speak to that about the importance of brand association? Uh, how one more thing, you take somebody like Cardi B,
Mhm.
okay, for whatever it's worth, she's had a background, this is a former dancer and whatnot, but she was able to get her brand in a place where she's doing commercials for Pepsi at the
Mhm.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And how do you go from strip clubs in Atlanta
Mhm.
to now being associated with a family
Mhm.
brand, which is Pepsi?
Mhm.
Um, and so the importance of that, speak to that a little bit
Well,
about the importance of that. You want to say something?
There's a few women.
Well, it's a few. No, I'm just saying a few people. A long time
she's
ago, would
just an
that have been?
example.
Would they have been able to do that 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Now or
No, I think we gotta, from my point of view, to my take on it is, I think we've gotta applaud where hip hop has come
Yeah.
and how it's
we had
become
that
so
conversation, right?
mainstream that it's not a great leap to embrace hip hop artists. You've got artists doing McDonald commercials.
Mhm.
A few of them, few hip hop artists
Yeah.
who are known as gangster rappers,
Yeah.
to some extent,
Yeah.
and they're doing McDonald commercials.
Yeah.
When
Family
you walk in the
restaurant. So
store now, you see Master P on
Yeah.
the
yeah,
Rama Udama noodles.
That's what I was
Boxes.
about to
yeah.
say.
So, but anyway,
But
Yeah.
speak
but
to
we'll
that a
let
little bit more. I want
Stephanie
to
tell us
about
okay.
brand association. with your
Well,
brand.
to your point, that's exactly what I was about to say. You have to think about how far we've come as a culture.
Right, true.
And I'm not talking about Black culture. I'm
Right.
talking about anything associated with
Right. That's
our
important.
culture,
Right.
how
True.
far we've come as a culture. And a lot of things are starting to be a lot more embraced and accepted, right? But I also think it's a changing of times. We're in a lot less judgmental time, thank God,
Mhm.
because we all have a past
Yes.
of
Right,
some
true.
sort,
Yeah. Mhm.
So I tell people all the time, I don't have a heaven or a hell to put you in. So I don't have the capacity to judge you. I'm sorry,
Right.
Yeah.
So I think when you think about a person's past, that's again a part of their story. Cardi ain't hiding her past.
Right.
That's a
She
part of her
embraces it. Right.
story.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So my whole thing about my business is it's empowering you as a brand. Your story is the
Right.
biggest asset you have as a brand.
Mhm.
That your story is the only thing that is not replicatable.
Mhm.
I can make my hair look just like yours. I can go buy those shoes right there. I can pretty much duplicate anything that has been done, but I cannot duplicate your story.
Right.
You guys are twins,
Mhm.
but your stories are very different. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Yet they are similar and they have a
Mhm.
lot that is in common, right? You share a lot
Mhm.
of the same fabrics,
Mhm.
but your stories are different. There's no two stories that are the same.
Right.
So if people start um, putting more of their story into their brand, then you'll see the elevation. And that's what is more accepted now.
Yes.
It's the fact that you, again, keeping it real. You're true to your story, because what we got tired of is the pretend, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
think about it. Pepsi had, certain people representing them once upon a time, right? And then stories came out about those people that may not have been very ideal, and Pepsi's brand was associated
Mhm.
with certain individuals. Do you
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
However, a story, and who's to say if those stories were fact? We don't know to this day. But at the end of the day, if they worried about everybody they associate their brand with, which they do, but if they worried about all the things that could come out, then they would pick no one. But if I already know what I know, then you're a much better pick. If I knew you
Mhm.
were a stripper versus me putting you
And you're finding out about it after
right,
the
and then
fact.
Didn't know.
somebody be like,
Yeah.
she used to work at Magic City. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mhm.
That's where it creates controversy, but you're making a more empowered decision.
Right.
But I think we are coming from a space
Or more
where
informed decision.
yeah. And then
Mhm.
information is power.
Mhm.
So you're making a more empowered decision to say, I think she's a good fit, because it also says more than anything is I'm not judging someone's past. That right there alone could bring on however many more consumers, based on the fact that they don't look like they turned a blind, turned their back to someone
Mhm.
based on what their past is, because we all have a past. If you look for something on anybody,
Mhm.
We all have a
you're
past.
gonna find something
Mhm.
that ain't nobody perfect. So um I tell my clients all the time, infuse your story into your brand, because that's your biggest asset.
Right.
Infuse, you don't have to put your whole story out there in the
Mhm.
beginning, because it may not even be relevant.
Mhm.
But if you have a children's organization that help children that are in foster care, but you're hiding the fact that you grew up in foster care,
Right.
how much further do you think that would take your
Right.
organization if you not just talking it,
Mhm.
but you walked it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
True.
You see what I'm saying? So
Well
yeah.
said. Yeah.